Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Reparenting Daily. Should I say welcome to the family? This guy I'm listening to this True Media. Speaking of the charisma, he has some pretty good charisma. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. His YouTube channel is called True Media. And he just having like daily conversations about random stuff. And to be honest, like there's a lot of videos coming up. Let me do the sound check first before I keep going and running my mouth and this on silent. Even though it's been working all day, so it should be working now. Um, Come on, normally they give me a notification. I guess they have some delays. My internet is also kind of slow, but I'm trying to download some stuff. Here it is. Do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, cool. It's working now. You guys can hear me. Ooh, turn it off. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, True Media. It's a little bit bright, guys. My eyes are still fucked up, so I need to minimize this down a little bit. Let me actually put my lamp here so I can turn on the desk lamp lights. Get some light going on in here. This is a good book. I haven't picked it up in a while, but it's been sitting on my shelf. Y'all know I have a whole Alexandria library in my house, so it's like I've been reading a lot. Like my reading speed has drastically increased when I'm not doing speaking on the camera. But to be honest, it's a great practice for public speaking, for my speaking overall, practicing how I come across on camera, practicing how I communicate. It's allowing me to read the text also again to internalize the message. I have also dialogues with you guys as I'm reading it, and it's really a great experience. I'm doing this project really authentically to help myself grow and to create a paper trail. So other people will have access to the resources, awareness, and to things that can help them grow and reparent. Because as I was in that reparenting the ACOA program, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families program, one thing that I found is that, people are quite rigid. I just came from a meeting from there, actually. Oh, that's the wrong side. I just came from a meeting from this group, and this meeting was okay. I didn't share or anything. I think this was like a Dubai Big Red Book meeting. And the shares were pretty good, but they kept talking about that word powerlessness, and you had to be careful because the people that you spend the most time with, you become like those people, right? And so if you are repeating those laundry list traits, we are powerless. Let me pull it. I think it's from this Big Red Book, right? From this, I think it's also, I know we're skipping ahead. We're not going directly to the reading, but I've been having some ideas just to have some different conversations. They don't have the laundry list. They don't put the trace in there. Damn. They don't put the So this is basically the Loving Parent Guidebook that I was reading in the very beginning. I got so many things going on. The fuck. So this is the Loving Parent Guidebook from that program, and I was looking for the characteristics, ACA characteristics, but I don't see it there. Let me just Google it really quick. It would be nice if I could find it in the book so I could share it with you guys. Sometimes I don't even know all of this, what everything is. I don't even think it's over here. Maybe they have it in this yellow workbook. I think it better be in the yellow workbook. Yes. Okay. Here, this is the other book. So they had a Loving Parent Guidebook. I don't think I've gone through this 12-step of adult children, but perhaps I will do this also. And basically, so the Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Family is a 12-step program like AA, SLAA, CODA, all of these things, And very valuable programs. They're free. The most important part, because many people don't have the access to therapy because it's very expensive. And as I said before, people go to therapy 5, 10, 15, 20 years, weekly, bi-weekly, paying money. And the therapist never even tells them about inner child work because the therapist doesn't know. I'm not going to start that conversation again because I've already talked about that multiple times and I don't need to go on another rant. But basically, they have this list of characteristics that you read when you first come to this meeting or when you first come to this group. I will freeze it here. You can also find this if you just Google the laundry list traits. So you guys can take like a screenshot and zoom in. But I guess I can do like this. So when you go to this meeting for the first time, they're going to read this list of traits. And it's supposed to help you identify, yourself if you belong in this program based on the kind of traits that you will um, find in yourself normally after you grow up in a dysfunctional family. So, the characteristics that you might recognize: number one, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. Number two, we became approval seekers and lost our identity in the process. Number two, we are frightened by angry people and any personal criticism. Number four, we either become alcoholics, marry them, or both. Two, or find another compulsive personality, such as workaholism, to fulfill our sick need for abandonment. Number five, we view our life from the standpoint of victims and are attracted by that weaknesses in our love and friendship relationships. Number six, we have an overdeveloped sense of responsibility, and it's easier for us to become concerned with others rather than ourselves. This enables us not to look too closely at our own faults. Um, we feel guilty when we stand up for ourselves instead of giving in to others. We became addicted to incitement. Number nine, we confused love with pity and rescue. Um, Basically, the one that I wanted to, where is it at? Where's the one that I was talking about even before I came and planned to redo all of that stuff? I don't even think this is the list because this is not even the right list here. Uh, this is not even the right list, y'all. I don't know where. I don't know what list that thing come from. Anyways, I don't think that list is in here, but I mean, all of the books and things, the text that I'm sharing, the new ways of thinking, the new ways of feeling, behaving, they're helping us face these things, but they're not even talking about, where is that one? Maybe they changed it because normally, I don't think, I mean, basically, where is the powerlessness? I don't even know what list that come from. Basically, there's another point on this list that says, uh, you are powerless to change. You're powerless to the effects of growing up in a dysfunctional family or something like that. And I wish I could find it because, oh yes, number one here. Uh, yeah, number one of these lists, the 12 step ACA 12 steps, we admitted we were powerless over the effects of alcoholism or other family dysfunction, that our lives had become unmanageable. So I really hate that word powerless, especially that these people read these every single time they go to a meeting. You can also find this in the public domain. You don't have to take it here on the ACA website, but in case you want to take a look. So that really pissed me the fuck off. They keep repeating in these meetings, we are powerless, we are powerless, we are powerless, we are powerless. What are you doing? Just programming your subconscious mind, having validation from others, internalizing that sense of weakness and defectiveness. So I get what they're saying because you are powerless over the effects of your dysfunctional family. I would like, maybe we were okay. We were powerless. Okay, even in the past tense here, they're not putting it in the presence. But still, something really pisses me off about that is I think they should better say, like, we accept that we have taken on the effects, but powerless is like they want you to use that word because they're trying to lead to the second one, the second point, which is you come to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So it's kind of like tied. They're trying to say you're powerless, and then God can restore you to sanity. I mean, God restoring you to sanity is basically the whole point of going internal and connecting with yourself. And the problem, not even really a problem. There's something that you have to think about that I have to think about, to be honest, is when I'm making these judgments, is that not everybody is at the same level. Some people really don't. Some people really don't have the mental capacity, the emotional bandwidth, financial resources, whatever. Everyone is a different kind of person, So, for example, me, I'm gifted, so I have a high IQ, so I think differently than most people. I'm a very flexible thinker, a dynamic systems thinker. I think deeply, from multiple different angles simultaneously and see connections between different things. And many people don't think like that, especially if you went through long-term abuse. Sometimes your brain is just shutting down. Your prefrontal cortex is shut down because your body is flooded with cortisol and your amygdala is hyperactive. That causes your prefrontal cortex, which is the executive portion of your brain, which is, decided for making decisions, organizing your life and emotional experiences. So some people do get that shut down. So maybe the solution that I'm offering is not for everybody, but if I'm feeling this solution, I know that there are other people out there who, again, I'm not looking down on those people because, somebody could look down at me for some skill that I don't have. So it's not looking down. It's more just realizing that everybody has a different situation. Some people have, more skills, different experiences than others. And that means you need a different solution. You know what I'm saying? So just because this program is a good start, some people really get stuck there, and I see that. But if you stay around those people, you become like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. That was a big roundabout way to get to this book that we're reading today, The Charisma Myth. We're going to be starting on chapter 2. And the reason why I wanted to talk about that being powerlessness, because charisma is your interpersonal power. Charisma is your interpersonal power. So it is almost the antithesis of social anxiety. And if you want to think about it that way. And if you grew up in a dysfunctional family, you don't have the validation, the mirroring, the experiences to necessarily develop a solid and strong sense of self that would then allow you to get the experiences and the reps in socially to be able to develop that charisma. Because charisma is not something that's innate. Nobody is just born, charismatic. It's something that you see, you observe, and you learn. Again, because each person has different, inherent skills, traits, capabilities, and proclivities. And so, some people will develop it naturally and some won't. But it is really the antithesis of social anxiety. Even that first, the list on that we became afraid of people and authority figures, as they said here, developing your charisma. Yeah, number one on this list, the laundry list, Chase, we became isolated and afraid of people and authority figures. Once you are able to start developing your charisma, you can start counteracting some of these things. So it's like, don't keep repeating that negative stuff. Like it was nice to go to the meeting earlier today to listen to some people. I didn't really connect. I just observed, and it was nice. But something has to be more forward moving, more building, more constructive, not just so passive and allowing things to be as they are. So in any case, that's why I've picked up this book. Charisma is something that I'm working on. Yeah, ironically, I think I'm quite naturally a charismatic person. I don't think I'm like Oscar award winning charismatic, and definitely because I think the past few months I've been in quite like a shutdown place because of all of this emotional and trauma processing. Again, I'm doing this basically in isolation because I was asking way too many questions for most of those people in the ACA program. So I was like pissing a lot of people off eventually because they don't want to think as deep as I do. But I'm not someone who's gonna, accept, my mom, for example, took me to the Bible and told me to read all these things. If you have sex before you are married, you're going to go to hell, and all of these bullshit. And even as a child, like 6 years old or something, I knew this was bullshit, And I also, at that same young age, I had the intelligence to know, or the intuition to know, that all of these religions are just teaching the same thing. So I don't understand why she is pushing this on me, So I was always resisting, since I was little. I'm always resisting. So I'm not going to let anybody tell me how to live my life, basically. I knew that since I was little. That's something innate in me. So that's, again, why I want to make this project, just to share my experience. So yeah, now we're going to be looking at the charisma myth. I'm going to be starting from chapter 2, and this is on page, I don't even know, did I have page numbers here? 13, in case you have the book. So, charismatic behaviors: presence, power, and warmth. Charismatic behavior can be broken down into 3 elements: power, presence, and warmth. These elements depend both on our conscious behaviors and on factors we don't consciously control. People pick up on messages we don't even realize we're sending through small changes in our body language. In this chapter, we'll explore how these signals can be influenced in order to be charismatic. We need to we need to choose mental states that make our body language, words, and behaviors flow together and express the 3 core elements of charisma. Since presence is the foundation for everything else, that's where we'll start. Presence. Have you ever felt in the middle of a conversation as if only half of your mind were present while the other half was busy doing something else? And do you think the other person noticed? If you're not fully present in an interaction, there's a good chance that your eyes will glaze over and that your facial reactions will be a split second delayed. Since the human mind can read facial expressions in as little as 17th millisecond, 17 milliseconds, the person you're speaking to will likely notice even the tiniest delays in your reactions. Um, we may think um, we may think that we can fake presence. We may think that we can fake listening. We believe that as long as we seem attentive, it's okay to let our brain turn on other things. But we're wrong. When we're not fully present in an interaction, people see it. Our body language sends clear messages that other people read and react to, at least on a subconscious level. As I was explaining earlier in some of the other text, continuing with the reading, you surely had the experience of talking to someone who wasn't really listening. Maybe they seemed to just be going through the motion of listening to you, so you wouldn't be offended. Somehow, they didn't seem to be paying full attention. How did you feel then? Brushed off? Annoyed? Just plain bad? As a student in one of my Harvard lecturers told me, it happened recently when I was talking to someone. I felt she wasn't really present. I felt resentful, inferior to inferior to whatever was more important than our conversation. Not only the lack of presence can be visible, not only can the lack of presence be visible, it can also be perceived as inauthentic, which has even worse emotional consequences. When you're perceived as disingenuous, it's virtually impossible to generate trust, rapport, and loyalty. And it's impossible to be charismatic. So these are very, very important things. If you have ADHD or if you are a traumatized person, I think that's why a lot of traumatized people end up in that same cycle of repeated bad interactions, more trauma, more disconnection, more shame, lack of experience to social situations, increasing social anxiety, decreasing social skills. And the more trauma you go through, the more your brain is shutting down, the more you're unable to be present, and then it just gets worse, 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 worse. It's like a snowball. And so it's really so important to begin to face and work on this and to practice it out in the real world, hopefully in safe environments. But, test yourself and see how things go. Continuing with the reading, presence is a learnable skill, like any other ability from painting to playing the piano. You can increase it with practice and patience. Being persistent means simply having a moment to moment awareness of what's happening. It means paying attention to what's going on rather than being caught up in your own thoughts. Now that you know the cost of lacking presence, try the exercise on the next page to test yourself. See how present you can be. Learn the three simple techniques and learn three simple techniques to immediately boost your charisma in personal interactions. Should I read the practice or should I just read the descriptions? Because they're quite. I will read. Okay, putting it into practice, presence. Here are a few techniques for remaining present, adapted from mindfulness disciplines. All you need is a reasonably quiet place where you can close your eyes, where standing or sitting for just 1 minute, and a way to keep track of time. Set the timer for 1 minute. Close, close your eyes and try to focus on one of the following three things: the sound around you, your breathing, or the sensation in your toes. In case you want to take a screenshot and try this exercise later, there you go. I will also read through this. The first one, sound. Scan your environment for sound. As a meditation teacher told me, imagine your ears are satellite dishes, passively and objectively registering sounds. Number two, your breath. Focus on your breath and the sensations it creates in your nostrils or stomach as it goes in and out. Pay attention to one breath at a time, but try to notice everything about this one breath. Imagine that your breath is someone you want to give your full attention to. And number three, your toes. Focus your intention on the sensation in your toes. This forces your mind to sweep through the body, helping you get into the physical sensations of the moment. So, how did that go? Did you find your mind constantly wandering everywhere when you're trying your best to be present? As you've noticed, staying fully present isn't always easy. There are two main reasons for this. First, our brains are wired to pay attention to novel stimuli, whether they be sights, smells, or sounds. We're wired to be distracted, to have our attention grabbed by any new stimulus. It could be important. It could eat us. This tendency was key to our ancestors' survival. Imagine two tribesmen hunting in the plains, searching the horizon for signs of antelope they could feed their family with. Something flickers in the distance. The tribesman whose attention wasn't immediately caught, he's not our ancestor. Yum yum. The second reason is that our society encourages distraction. Constant influx of stimuli we receive worsens our natural tendencies. This can eventually lead us to a state of continual partial attention, in which we never fully give our full attention to any single thing. We're always partly distracted. I think this is the idea and key of social media, and again, that plays into um, how societal condition, these social media platforms, technology, are designed to capture and reduce our attention spans over time. And this reduction over time then causes us to become more separated from ourselves, And if we're not able to focus our attention, we cannot control our energy. And if we cannot control our attention and our energy, then our ability to manifest and create our reality is completely obliterated. So that is part of the strategy of these social media companies and so forth. Continuing with the reading. So if you find it hard to be present, don't beat yourself up. This is entirely normal. Presence is hard for most all of us. A 2,250 person study co-authored by Harvard psychologist Daniel Gilbert estimated that nearly half of the person's time was spent mind wandering. That seems accurate. Even meditation masters can find their minds wandering during times of their practice. In fact, this is a common subject of jokes during intensive meditation retreats. Yes, there are such things as meditation jokes. The good news is that even a minor increase in your capacity for presence can have a major impact on those around you, because so few of us are ever fully present. If you can manage even a few moments of full presence from time to time, you'll make quite an impact. The very next time you're in a conversation, try to regularly check whether your mind is fully engaged or whether it's wandering elsewhere, including preparing for your next sentence. Aim to bring yourself back to the present moment as often as you can by focusing on your breath or your toes for just a second, and then get back to focusing on the other person. One of my clients, after trying this exercise for the first time, reported, "I found myself relaxing, smiling, and others suddenly noticed me and smiled back without saying a word." Don't be discouraged if you feel that you didn't fully succeed in the 1 minute exercise above. You actually did gain a charisma boost right then. And because you've already gained the mindset shift, awareness of the importance of presence and the cost of lack of it, you're already now ahead of the game. If I were to start right here and read another further, it would be well worth it. If you let your mind continue churning away while he's talking to you, I skipped. Here's how this could play out for you in practical everyday setting. Let's say your colleague walks into your office, waiting, uh, wanting your opinion on some matter. You have only a few moments to spare before your next meeting, and you're worried that this might take more time than you have. If you let your mind continue churning away while he's talking to you, not only will you feel anxious and have a hard time concentrating, you'll also give the impression that you're restless and not fully present. Your colleague might conclude that you don't care enough about him or his problem to pay attention to. Instead, remember to use one of these quick fixes. Focusing just a second on your breath or your toes, this will instantly bring you back to the present moment. This full presence will show in your eyes and face, and will be seen by the other person talking to you. By giving them just a few moments of full presence, they will feel respected and listened to. When you're fully present, it shows in your body language in highly charismatic, enhancing ways. So even again, as I was saying, your thoughts permit like uh, energy, like a waves, like an antenna, like your brain, your body is like an antenna receiver, and your thoughts are emitting waves energetic waves in the ether, and other people's subconscious can pick up on that. So people can respond to you, subconsciously based on behaviors of your thoughts. That's why it's important to have positive thoughts. I've been since coming across the work of Brian Withers, I've been really intensively working on focusing on my thoughts. And I literally see the difference when I'm at gym. I see people responding to me differently. I don't even say anything. Maybe my face is looking different or something, but it does actually work. Oof, I need some water, guys. Next, being charismatic does not depend on how much time you have, but on how fully present you are in each interaction. The ability to be fully present makes you stand out from the crowd. It makes you memorable. When you're fully present, even a 5-minute conversation can create a wow effect, as well as an emotional connection. The people you're the people you're with feel that they have your full attention and that they are the most important thing in the world to you at that moment. One client told me that he frequently upset people when he was under pressure or dealing with multiple requests. If someone came to see him, if someone came to see him while he um, if someone came to see him while they talked, his mind would wander back to whatever he had been working on. And as a result, that person felt brushed off and unimportant. After putting some of these after putting some of these focus exercises to work, he reported, I learned how valuable it was to give my full attention even for just a few moments, and the techniques helped me stay present in that moment. As a result, people left the office feeling cared for, special. This, he told me, was one of the most valuable lessons he learned from our work altogether. Increasing your ability to be present not only improves your body language, listening skills, and mental focus, it could even enhance your ability to enjoy life. Wow, that's a big statement. Too often, when a special moment arises, such as a celebration or even a few minutes of quality time with a loved one, our mind is running in 6 different directions. Meditation teacher Tara Brock has made the practice of being present a lifetime study. Here's how she puts it. In most moments, we have a continuous internal commentary on what's happening and what we should do next. We might greet a friend with a hug, but the warmth of our hug becomes blurred by our computations about how long to embrace, or what we're going to say when we're done. We rush through the motions, not fully present. I'm guilty of that for sure, as I'm always on the run, trying to achieve, do more, drive more, push faster. That's why I ended up burnt out since 2018. I've been pushing ever since. Being present enables you to fully notice and drink in the good moments. Yeah, true. That really requires you to slow down. You've just gained 3 instant fixes to use during interactions, and through practice, they can become your second nature. Remember that every time you bring yourself back to full presence, you reap major rewards. You become more impactful, more memorable, and come across as more grounded. Wow. And again, it's not only that we want to come across as these things, but we want to actually embody these things. We want to embody a grounded nature. We want to embody presence. All of these things are very important. Now that you know what presence is, why it matters to charisma, and how to get it, let's look at the other 2 crucial charisma qualities, and that is power and warmth. He puts both of these. Yeah, that's not so much longer, so I can read that. Power and warmth. Being seen as powerful means being perceived as able to affect the world around us, whether through influence on or authority over others. Large amounts of money, expertise, intelligence, sheer physical strength, or high social status. That's the definition of what it means to be powerful. So when they say weak people, that's the people who are not able to do that. And most of the time, people who go through trauma, they have not developed the skills in order to be able to influence and stay grounded. So I'll read that one more time. Being seen as powerful means being perceived as able to affect the world around us, whether through influence on or authority over others. influence and manipulation, a source of power, magic. Continuing with the reading, large amounts of money, expertise, intelligence, sheer physical strength, or high social status. We look for clues of power in someone's appearance and others' reactions to this person, and, most of all, the person's body language. Warmth, simply put, is goodwill towards others. Warmth tells us whether or not people will want to use whatever power they have in our favor. Warmth tells us whether or not people will want to use whatever power they have in our favor. Being seen as warm means being perceived as any of the following: benevolent, altruistic, caring, willing to impact our world in a positive way. Warmth is assessed almost entirely through body language and behavior. It's evaluated more directly than power. How do we gauge power and warmth? Imagine you're meeting someone for the first time. In most instances, you don't have the benefit of an extensive background check, interviews with friends or relatives, or even or even time to wait and observe their behaviors. So, in most instances, you have to make quick guesses. Through our interactions, we instinctively look for cues with which to evaluate warmth and power, and then we adjust our assumptions accordingly. Expensive clothing leads us to assume wealth. Friendly body language leads us to assume good intentions. A confident posture, confident posture leads us to assume the person has something to be confident about. In essence, people will tend to accept whatever you project. Going back to that Machiavelli quote from The Prince, everyone seems what you appear to be. Few see who you really are. And that's from The Prince and Machiavelli. Again, not the most, moral or quote unquote ethical book, but a book of realpolitik, how the world actually works on power and influence. Continuing with the reading, just by increasing your projection of power or your projection of warmth, you increase your levels of charisma. Damn, that's the master code. Just by increasing your projection of power or your projection of warmth, you increase your level of charisma. But when you can project both power and warmth together, you really maximize your personal charisma potential. So that is really the key. And then to be able to remain present during that, right? Today, there are many ways to be perceived as powerful, from displaying intelligence like Bill Gates to displaying kindness, think the Dalai Lama. But in the earliest days of human history, one form of power was predominant: brute force. Yes, intelligence was valuable, but much less than it is today. It's hard to imagine how Bill Gates faring well in the jungle. Few of those who gain positions of power through rare strength and aggression would have exhibited such much warmth. The combination of power and warmth would have been very rare and very, very precious. A powerful person who also viewed us kindly could mean the difference between life and death in critical moments. Figuring out who might want to help us and who has the power to do so has always been critical to our survival. That's why your reaction to power and warmth is wired so deep. We react to these qualities as we do to fat and sugar. Our ancestors survived by having a strong positive reaction to fat and sugar. They aided our survival and were scarce in our original environment. Though they're abundant today, our instincts remain. The same holds true for charisma. Through the combination of warmth and power, though the combination of warmth and power is easier for people to attain today, it still plays powerfully on our instincts. From lab experiments to neuroimaging, research has consistently shown that they are two dimensions we evaluate first and foremost in assessing other people. Both power and warmth are necessary conditions for charisma. Someone who is powerful but not warm can be impressive but isn't perceived as charismatic and can come across as arrogant, cold, or standoffish. Someone who possesses warmth without power can be likable but isn't necessarily perceived as charismatic and can come across as overeager, subservient, or desperate to please. William Gladstone projected power during the 1886. What? William Gladstone projected power during the 1886 election. A high status individual of strong political weight and powerful connection. Known for keen intelligence and deep knowledge, he impressed his younger dinner companion with his power, but lacked the warmth to make her feel special. Disraeli was also projecting power. He too had a history of political power, impressive wit, and keen intelligence. But Disraeli's genius was his ability to make whoever he was speaking to feel intelligent and fascinating. He projected presence and warmth in addition to power, and was handsomely rewarded for it. Though other approaches to charisma are possible, the combination of power, presence, and warmth is one of the most effective frameworks to help maximize your full charisma potential. So this is very beautiful introduction, and I wish these were things that, I mean, some of this is like intuitive. I've heard this before, obviously, in my graduate programs, but when you get caught into the flow of life, sometimes you miss it. And if you don't have people who are helping you reflect and mirror on these things, then it can get lost in the wayside. And it's just a matter of practice. And these skills are something that we can use to begin to create the reparative emotional experiences, the corrective experiences that we need in order to heal from the lack of parenting in this reparenting experience, and also simultaneously to build up confidence and self-esteem, our ability to navigate the world effectively, to trust ourselves, because uh, earlier we discussed this week that your self-worth is defined by how people are treating you and what you have achieved. And so if you have social anxiety or you're traumatized and so you're not able to be present with other people, you were not parented, so you don't have the knowledge of how to play and display. If you're thinking about Jungian analysis, this is part of our true um, the ethos of what it means to be a human, like play and display. You should have a natural desire when the human is opening to play and display. That is part of, when someone is not traumatized, that's how humans should be. Play and display. That's a key phrase that I always remember, because that's something that I think I lost because I was so traumatized for the childhood that, everything became like a life or death. Like I have to fix this, or I have to be perfectionistic and get this correct, or, e- everything just became like a win or loss situation. Everything was like, I'm going to pass or fail. That means if I fail, I'm bad or lesson, or, you put so much weight. But if you just relax, it's like the Chinese finger trap again. Just relax, play and display, and then take it as learning opportunities. There is no failing. You're having a lesson either way something goes, you're getting a lesson and you're learning and growing from that. So that's the first part of this book, and I will see you guys again soon for the next part. Take care. I hope you enjoyed it.